Coming back to the strength of the grip, we mentioned, we want to see both feet pointing towards the shoulder. Now you'll see tour pros, they can vary the strength of their grips. Okay, and you'll see that with a lot of good players, the grip strength can vary, and that is fine. You can have a strong grip right around here somewhere, and then just hold it off as you swing through. And there might be benefits to that. You might find actually by holding the release off, you get less degrees of rotation per second with the club face. It faces the target for longer, in other words, so you can be more consistent. It also helps get your hands past the ball, which can help with a more consistent strike. The downside though, if you need height, you need loft, say your club head speed's not very high, you're not going to want to do that because you're going to struggle to get enough club head speed to get the ball elevated. Another issue with that is it is going to limit your speed because you're restricting your movement, you're limiting your movement, so you will lose some club head speed. You may get some of that distance back through de-lofting of the club, but again, it's a trade-off. You need to figure out if that work's going to work for you. There are a lot of pros that do that. On the flip side, you could weaken the grip, okay, and then come into impact with a very flat left wrist, and that's going to compensate. Now, the wrist will flatten slightly anyway as your hands go slightly forward and you keep the club face square, because if you don't flatten the wrist as you put your hands forward, the club face will open. If you maintain the same amount of cupping in here, that will open up. So if you want to get your hands forward, you have to flatten the wrist slightly. Now if you're slightly cupped at setup, that's going to be quite easy to do. So if you have a stronger grip where it's cupped, that's great. But if you have a weak grip and this is flat to begin with, well, you're going to struggle to do that. You're going to be adding loft, if anything. So you're going to then really have to work on bowing the wrist to get your hands forward, to get a downward strike. But then this is a weak position to be in. This doesn't feel great. This is quite dangerous actually for a number of people. They might not like this at all. But for some people, they might really like it. They might love this sort of bowed or flat looking area here. So they might like the weak grip. And they might like it just because of the top of the swing, because it looks nice, because this is all nice and flat and the club face matches it and it all looks pretty. But it's not very effective, more often than not, because it's a weaker position to be in. There's another downside of this as well, because if you're flatter impact, if you're weak with your left hand grip at setup, as you go to the top of the swing, you're going to struggle for range of movement. You're going to struggle to get a full amount of wrist hinge in here, which is going to cost you some speed. So if you get this hand a bit stronger, a bit more over, this is now, you're able to get more hinge and get more lag. But like I said, you go too strong and you're going to be hooking the thing, which means then you've got to hold it off. So if it's too weak, you'll probably lose distance. If it's too strong, you will probably lose distance. Not to mention the fact, if it's weak, you're going to struggle to get your hands forward and get it bowed. If you do get your hands forward, you're going to open the face. If you keep your hands back, you're going to add loft. So either way, you're either adding loft or you're going to slice it. And the tendency would be to slice it. You'd tend to get your hands a bit forward, but then because this is in a weak position, off it goes to the right. And with the strong grip, it's very hard to hold it off that much. I have tried this myself, and it was not very successful. You might end up finding you end up releasing a little bit because it's very hard to hold it off fully, and you end up really prone to hooking everything. And it's not like you're going to do the same bad shot every time. You'll get it right sometimes, but you could also get it wrong quite a lot as well. So yes, strong grip, you're going to be prone to hooking. Weak grip, you're going to be prone to slicing. And if you do get it to work, you can get it to work. I'm not saying you can't, but the chances are you will lose some distance. It's not going to be as an efficient movement. So if you start with a weak grip, you're going to tend to lack wrist hinge on the way back, and you're going to maybe tend to add loft on the way through. And if you have a strong grip, you're going to lose loft, potentially too much loft if you don't have lots of speed. Plenty of wrist hinge on the way back, no problem there, but then you've got to hold off your release. You've got to delay the release and reduce the amount of rotation occurring, which is going to limit your speed. So you really want to have an optimal grip, which is where we put you. It's in line with the right shoulder. And when you think about that, that makes sense in itself. The right arm is, if you're right-handed, the right-handed swing, your right arm's going to be producing most of the speed. So we want that V in line with that arm. Like if you used to grab or hold anything, 9 times out of 10, this V is pointed straight back at the arm. It's the strongest place to be. You're not going to grab it like this or like that. The weak positions, that's the best place to be in. So that's what we're working around. We want that to be in that position, and this just follows suit. It allows it to work at its best. Your right hand work at its best. So that's why we do it, and that's optimal. So now you've got enough cupping in the wrist to get a full amount of wrist hinge on the way back, retain your hinge on the way down, and then as you release into impact, you can get your hands in front without having to bow the wrist to do it, because you've got plenty of cupping there to allow that movement to occur. So it's just the most optimal way. It doesn't impact on anything, it just allows for maximum speed and repeatability.